Meeting to order. Let's see, 6 o'clock. First order of business is the approval of the September 14th regular meeting minutes.
I have to abstain, I wasn't there.
Abstentions, as long as there's,
Yeah, I'll make a motion for acceptance.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Second, it was very profitable, and I didn't go.
What's that?
It was profitable, I didn't go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's do item number 3A, communications from the public. Any
None from me, thank you.
Okay. Hearing none, we're gonna go to item number 3B, communications from the administration.
I got something I wanna ask.
Okay, let's do administration first then.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, board member,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you you in a hurry?
Nothing?
None that we won't be, because
Yeah, I got
Mike actually has.
Okay,
two
go ahead.
items. So, the Reservoir 3 tree removal, project, which is being led by Wright Pierce, they proposed, they provided an amendment proposal. The first proposal, which we approved was, oh, you added it there,
Yeah,
not
I did.
from, okay.
We'll wait for new
I
business.
got one other
The
item.
item that Al was speaking to was actually, I added to the agenda.
To the agenda.
Okay.
Yep.
So the other item I had is, the fire hydrant painting. So I had, Manuel Gonzalez of 527 Hobart Street had reached out to the department seeking permission to paint the fire hydrant in front of his home, red, white, and blue. Mr. Gonzalez is a disabled veteran who served in the Army from 1981 to 1987, and again from 2000 to 2014. And he served 2 tours of duty in Iraq in 2007 to 2008. I informed Mr. Gonzalez that we received quite a few requests in the past to paint hydrants for various reasons. I explained to him how the hydrants are color coded for water flow to assist the fire department. I thanked him for his service and stated that we cannot allow him to change the current color scheme of the hydrant, because once other customers see this hydrant painting, they will expect us to allow them to do the same. The conversation ended with me telling him that I would bring his request to the board to get their feedback and get back to him. So typically in the past, we've had numerous calls over the years requesting such things, and we said sorry, but for whether it's for breast cancer or for whatever else, so.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's something that really respect the individual and for all that he's done for his community and for the United States, but we do have to keep consistent with the color coding of our hydrants, and I think it's important for the fire department to know what flows we have at our hydrants, so I'm afraid we're gonna have to, I would recommend that we
I'm with you.
deny
That's a bad idea.
Okay. I also did reach out to the chief to get his
Yeah.
feedback on that, and he mirrored the same.
He thought the same thing, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I think that's what we have to.
No, he was gracious and he appreciated the time that I gave him, and that I would report to the board and get back to him, so
Yeah.
I'll do that.
And thank him, but, yeah, unfortunately, we're gonna have to reject that.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Item number 3.
Can I just
Oh,
start?
yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I just wanna talk about the new health insurance for a second.
Oh, yes, yes.
We're filling out paperwork, we were accepted as the water department, and, they ask a lot of questions as far as coverage, and I just want to make sure, like, we're all on the same page as far as we are not covering someone that's retired, even if they're not retirement age. Would you all agree with that?
What do we do right now? We cover the retire, if they pay for the premium, they're covered, correct? The retirees.
See,
that we have now.
I haven't been here that long, so
Okay.
I don't know of anyone that we covered.
So is the question, Nancy, are we covering, people that are receiving medical coverage into retirement as part of their employment here?
Well, that's one of the questions, and, would you allow them to buy the insurance if they, retire under 65, at 65? And it's ironic, because 2 people approached me about that too, and they wanted to know if they would still get their discount if we did allow that. And I said, I don't know of anyone that we.
Is that written into the contract?
I'm not sure, I don't think.
So based on what they're asking is whether they can pay their portion after they retire, but it also would mean that the department is paying their other remaining portion.
Right, we can
of
look
it.
at it two ways.
So,
Yeah.
it, maybe,
And the rates, if you retire before 62 or 65, the rates go up, so you wouldn't be paying the same as everyone here at the water department. And if you are retirement age 65, it over doubles.
Are we doing anybody right now, or?
No.
So in the past, we've allowed people to carry our plan at full price, they can pay the full rate,
Yeah.
and not the department carrying a portion.
So do we have an opportunity to, with a new company, is that what you're saying?
Right,
Yeah, this is the Connecticut
State.
yeah, the partnership.
so they're asking all of the questions
Like
that,
you wouldn't initially, yeah.
yeah.
I think we'd have to say no, Bob, if it's any cost out of us.
Yeah, we wouldn't wanna have it.
But would you allow them to purchase it at full price?
There'd be no cost to us, right? No.
Not that I understand, we could look
So that
into
would be
that, but-
business as usual if we do that.
Yeah,
They'd have to pay the full ride.
Yeah, I don't think I would have a problem with that if they wanted to, pay the full premium then.
Okay, and, if,
Is everybody okay with that? Everybody?
Yeah.
and if someone passes away, are we gonna allow their wife to, purchase the plan for X amount of years? Or, most of, it's all guys, really?
It would still have to be at the full rate, though, that we don't pay anything.
Okay, if that's what, you guys want.
I don't have a problem with that either. I
Yeah,
don't
not
see
either.
where it would be an issue.
Excuse me,
Yes,
I have to abstain from this.
okay, you're a
I'm a retired
fireman,
from town of Southington.
okay. I don't think that would be an issue if it was,
Well, I don't know if there's a
but-
saving, I mean, that would be their own personal choice, because they might be able to get private insurance cheaper than what,
I think they would, yeah, I think they would.
but I wouldn't have a problem, as long as it's no
Yeah,
dollars out of the water
as long as there's
department.
no cost,
Right,
yeah.
and I did ask that they have to bill us, they will not bill that person, so it's gonna come on our bill.
there would be some administrative effort on our end to receive it and pay it, but it would be minimal.
But you'd have to receive it, pay it, and then you'd have to go to them to get the check to pay it. So it is more work for the office.
Yeah,
I think, is this something we could look into a little bit more, or do you?
Yeah,
want
I
to
can make a
go back to that?
decision on it just with this little bit of information, you know?
no, we could,
Yeah.
Do you have a deadline for a response?
I did ask if we could change our answers, because they just, our go live date is January 1st, and we're trying to
Okay, so we
meet
have
that.
time.
Yeah.
Because our concern would be like, we would have to receive payment prior to us paying, and what happens if they miss a payment, do they,
Right,
you know,
when it's gonna be a collection
there
agency.
would have to be some rules or some
Yeah.
clarification that we would have to put down. Is that something you could take a look at and see
Oh,
if we
absolutely,
can do that?
And I didn't know if it mattered too, if they moved out of state eventually, like, are they always gonna be out of network now, there's just, like,
There's
one
still
question
lots
leads
of
to
issues.
another, yeah.
Have you reached out to who you're signing up with, what other companies do? I mean, like, other municipalities, how they handle it?
We're the first water municipality, yeah.
No,
That's
but I'm saying, they cover other, like sewer companies or
Yeah, I
this,
could
that,
do
and
that.
that. Just ask them, what's the,
Mhm.
what's the norm, what do they do?
Okay.
Yeah, just let us know.
Nancy and Al, I got a question for both of you. Isn't this something that usually might fall into like union negotiation stuff? Or
This is a
is
little
it, what
gray
you guys
area.
offer is what you offer, is that how it would go?
I
No,
would-
it's a state of Connecticut plan.
Right.
So during negotiations, they wanted to go on to the state plan.
Okay.
Okay, so we agreed, it was a win for us
Mhm.
and a win for them. So it's really what the state, she wanted to call someone from the state and ask her the question, we get the answer.
Because maybe the state has regulations that
Yeah,
you
that's
can't,
right.
you
There's
can't.
other things we gotta look at.
Yeah,
So these are like, I think, onboarding questions,
Yeah.
we've agreed to go to the state plan, which opens up all
Right.
the questions that are probably being answered by the board over the number of years going by.
There's always tweaks to
Yeah,
it, you know.
and that's why I think Nancy's just concerned that,
Yeah.
wherever she's signing up, we're signing up for on the department side is, agreeable to the board, and the board's aware of some of these nuances that we don't regularly, bring to light,
I
so.
think you might wanna reach out to them and say, what's the norm, how do you handle this?
Yeah,
Sure.
And is there anything we can review? Is there something you can send or?
I could, send the pamphlet that they, went over with us.
Yeah, and then, and some of these things that may require some effort on our end, we could put together some sort of communications with the board members, Nancy.
So maybe next
It's one of
month, you
these-
might have some answers for us.
Yeah, every question has a question, you know,
Yeah.
raises another
Yeah.
question, so, you know.
And that could probably be emailed out to the board,
Yeah, I'd like
correct,
to
the board
take a
members,
look.
correct, and then we could have it.
I hate making this decision without all the information.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the past, it's kind of been on a case to case.
yeah,
There's less than a handful of people that I know that actually requested that.
it's unusual, I think,
Oh, wasn't Billy on that?
He was.
yeah, but I think he's.
He's off.
Yeah, he's
got-
No, but when he first retired, I think he was on it for a period of time.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, we'll take care of that.
Thanks, Nancy.
Okay, anything else from administration? Board members, Ralph?
Yeah, I'm getting a few knocks on my door.
Okay,
My question is Stonegate Road, Cambridge, and Moody Drive. This summer, the guys went around, sandblasted and painted all the fire hydrants in our neighborhood. And a week and a half ago, they took them all out and replaced them all with brand new fire hydrants. And my neighbors are kind of upset. They're saying you spent all summer painting these fire hydrants, and now you came in last week and you dug them all out, and you replaced them with brand new fire hydrants. And I'm just curious, and they're curious, is, you know, you had a guy sitting on the front lawn for a week painting a fire hydrant, and then a month later, you come in with a backhoe, cut the road, cut his sidewalk, cut his lawn, and change his fire hydrant. And I was just wondering what the procedure is on that, and how come this happened?
well,
And my neighbors are asking the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
is there a schedule? I don't know how that works.
Well, I think, number one, I think the hydrant was, and I answered one of the residents out there, the same question, he had. Number one, the hydrant that was replaced were two nozzle models.
I know, Doug, but it wasn't one, there's like 8 in that neighborhood. They did
Well,
all 8 of them,
There
not just the one
8
gentleman who was complaining.
eight hydrants with
Well,
two
so-
nozzles,
right.
not the 3, which,
Right.
3 provides greater fire protection. The older ones have two 2-inches, and the new ones have two 2-inch plus a 4-inch.
Mhm.
And, so that was just a regular maintenance work. Why we did the painting, or maybe it painted them beforehand, I would have to check with operations, but, I did highlight the fact that we use seasonal help, making minimum wage to do the painting work. It's not, you know, not frontline staff that are out doing this. And largely, they're giving just a general list of places to work. So it does sound like this might be a little bit embarrassing that we painted things this summer, and now we are replacing it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Doug, it doesn't matter that they're getting their minimum wage. There's gotta be a schedule out there that, okay, we're planning on changing these fire hydrants. Why are you painting them? You know what I mean? Okay, they're minimum wage, but it's still a cost to the department that we spent for somebody to paint a fire hydrant, and then we replace them. Is there a schedule where, okay, these need to be painted? Okay, minimum wage, go ahead and paint them. But, you know, I'm talking 10, 15 people, my neighbor knocking on my door. There's gotta be a schedule. There's gotta be a plan. I don't know metering department or who does it, but
Well, how many more of these do you have done?
Well, I'm not certain, I mean, obviously, the painting is done based on a need basis.
But doesn't a red flag pop up that, wait a minute, we're gonna be replacing
you know,
it?
I think it, yeah,
So
There's gotta be a
Sounds
schedule.
like a miscommunication.
it's something that it shouldn't have happened.
Should have happened.
It's, you know, there should be a schedule, I don't know whoever schedules that, but I think you have to, I don't know if you meet with them, you know, weekly and go over schedules with the crew or what, but something, find out first.
Yeah.
Somebody could've went to the wrong road, you know, there's always two stories to, you know, two versions of every story, so let's find out why it happened.
I'm just
But
saying,
it's like, yeah, it's like paving a road and then you go put a new water line.
Correct.
You don't wanna do that, it's not a good thing.
I can't really speak to what the thought process was operationally. Obviously, were they not planning to, replace those, and then there was an opportunity to do that. I don't know if Alice has it this year, but we would have to talk with the operation,
Yeah, find out
distribution
why.
side, and kind of like point out what Ralph is saying, is it's just not.
No, that's.
Not a good look.
Not a good look,
I got a lot of retired people, they're sitting out there, they're seeing the guy
I
painting.
control the schedule of the painting of hydrants.
Pardon me?
I control that.
Okay.
Yep.
So when I print out a map, I get them painted because they've never been painted, but I'm prioritizing green and yellow because they've never been painted. So they got painted, we went out there, we replaced one hydrant because it was too low, and Joe's like, well, why don't we, they're all two nozzle hydrants, and they're not in the best of shape, why don't we just replace them?
Okay,
Not thinking that there was gonna be an uproar, people had the time of day to be concerned about that.
Well, that's what I could tell him, Al, in other words,
Yeah,
you
no,
went out
that
there and
makes
replaced
sense.
one, that makes sense.
Yeah,
But
Right.
I thought you had like a schedule that, you know, okay, we're gonna do this road and
Yeah.
change it. You went out, saw one, and said, while we're here, let's do them all.
Right,
That explains it, so I can tell my neighbors that.
right.
I mean,
Yeah, and I'd like to sit here and tell you there's like a master plan to do this stuff.
well, that's
There
what I
really
thought
isn't.
there was. I
Right.
thought like you would pick so many streets a year that you're gonna change hydrants.
Right, I mean, these guys are getting, so I think we've gotten the whole town done.
so there was no intention of changing
No.
these hydrants? It
There
only
wasn't.
came as
It
an
was kinda
afterthought
like-
when he went
Weren't
down there.
identified at the time of painting.
I get it.
Unfortunately, it was kinda bad timing, we were like, oh, we just painted these, but then we just got a delivery of hydrants in, and
So let's
we
do
saw an
it.
opportunity, and we're like, oh, the one in front of Ralph's house should be replaced, and.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And then Joe's like, well, there's another one down there that's super low, and we should probably replace that one too.
Well, again, John, you explained it to me, that's how I explained
It's
it. to my
very
neighbors.
rare, I think that's the first time that I've been here where we've actually done a whole neighborhood like that.
Yeah.
What I like to do is I like to strategically pick locations, and maybe every other hydrant, so that you do have some tree nozzles in the neighborhood.
No, the opportunity arose.
Okay.
It's, you
Right,
know, so-
and we refurbished a bunch of older hydrants that we had in the yard that we put together and we were able to reuse. It saved us like $3,000 or $4,000 a hydrant, I think we refurbished like 5 of them.
Yeah.
And so we saw an opportunity to
With
reuse
a
them.
better hydrant.
Right.
Okay,
With a better
explanation,
fire
that's fine, I
Right.
can pass that.
No, I was kinda caught off guard myself, and I'm like, well, yeah, he's kinda got a point, but.
Well, yeah, it does, it looks like
Right.
what they're gonna be doing.
Right.
But-
True.
Yeah,
but
when I'm trying to cut my
I
grass and my neighbors are coming up, I gotta shut off the lawnmower and listen to them yell at me.
I get it.
Yeah, they cut a little more and another one comes over.
Which was a good question for him, you
Yeah,
know, it's
well,
like-
but now I have an answer,
Yeah,
so that's great,
No,
thank
it
you.
it makes sense.
Okay.
It makes sense. Any other, communication from board members? I have something that I would like to do, and that is I'd like to present, Eric, if you could stand up. Do you have a camera?
Big camera now?
No,
Here.
okay. Stand up, Eric, we're just gonna move here. And it says, Erica Pocock, an appreciation for your service and dedication for the past 8 years at the Southington Waterworks Department, the Board of Water Commissioners, 2023. And thank you very much. We appreciate it all. This is our last meeting. And, we very much appreciate the time and effort and dedication that you put in for the department. Thank you very much. And before you go, we're gonna get everybody together and we'll get a picture of everybody. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Eric.
I'm gonna put this right here for you.
I was really sad all day thinking it was my last meeting and I was sad I'm not running again, but
I know, I hear you, I know what you mean.
I know where to find all of you and I'm sure I'll still keep up on everything and it was really an honor to serve the last 8 years.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you guys.
We enjoyed having you here. Anything else from, communication from board members? Let's go to item number 4A, review of water bills and outstanding jobbing bills and final approval of the, invoices. Anybody, as soon as anybody has
Well,
everybody have a chance?
since I signed all the checks.
Yeah.
I will make a motion to pay the invoices and billings.
Okay, and everybody had a chance to look
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah.
Motion carries.
It's nice Nancy sends it early, so we can.
Yes.
see it.
Yeah, you can
It's
digest
great,
it,
yeah.
It does, gives us a chance to look at it. Item number 4B, the review of financial statements.
So Tom had a question, he asked me, and I'll ask you guys, so how much are we down in water usage, to this point?
Well, I think I charted from like June 1st to the last meeting, we're down 100 million gallons
100 million gallons.
because of all the
What
rain
does that
increases.
equate to money?
Yeah.
between $400,000 and $500,000.
Come on, drought.
But did that help us out as far as
Yeah.
reservoir
Yeah.
and well?
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, we never had to cut back on the wells, we never had, yeah, I mean, usually around October, the reservoirs are so low, they're, you know, they're not even spilling over, right now they're spilling over.
So we got plenty of
We
water.
got plenty of
We
water,
have
but,
plenty of water,
No, we're
and kind of
using-
watch what we're spending.
yeah,
Right,
If we have to pull our reins in a little bit on
Yeah.
certain projects, I think we can kind of take a look at that and do that.
Yep.
And, you know, postpone it or delay it for another, all right, so 100 million gallons, wow, that's a lot of water. That's a lot of water. Okay, anything else on financial statements, any other questions, Rudy?
No.
Tom?
Yeah, I'd like to make a suggestion
Sure.
to our, excuse me, executive staff, that the priorities be set, at least verbally, between people signing and addressing the checks, so that salaries are taken care of, all our indebtedness is taken care of before we go out and make large expenditures under the circumstances. Probably doing it anyway.
Yeah, in other words, let's watch what we're spending.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's make sure, yeah, the important things get paid before we embark on another
Oh,
project.
definitely.
Yeah. Okay, shall we move on to the next, item number 5A, the Reservoir 3 Dam Maintenance Proposal.
okay, so this project was, as part of our dam inspection, that was, tied to the January of 2022 dam inspection, where it was recognized that we had, overgrowth of large diameter trees at the toe and the foot of the Reservoir 3 dam. We had contracted, Wright Pierce for $4,900, that was the first proposal for the design and the permitting for the tree removal. And now there's an, amendment proposal to continue forward with this work, which will involve, preparing the bidding documents and the removal of the stumps and restoration of the embankment and construction phase services. So the proposal, is for $26,000 for the next phase of this work. So this is not elective, this is something that, DEEP is aware of and is on their radar, and it was reported upon in the last day inspection.
And it has to be done. These are trees that are right at the base
Yeah,
of the
so
dam.
our forester has identified, along with Wright Pierce, we met on the field, identified 85 large diameter trees at the base of the dam that are encroaching upon the toe within 25 feet. Yeah, so this proposal would be for $26,000 for the engineering services related to that. But just so you know, there will be additional expenditures for the felling of the trees, which is another separate bid, and then a separate contractor to restore the site. So that would be the stump removal, the proper backfill and compaction of the foot of the dam. So, I'd like to say this is the last,
It may not be.
it won't be, because the actual physical works would still need to be done.
So this 26,000 goes to Wright Pierce, right?
Right,
And then we have to do the work, which is probably gonna be another 50,000.
so we'll put out the tree felling, put that out the bid, which our forester is gonna handle, and then, the restoration work. And the good thing is that we can fell, we got the permit approved, and I think it's good for 2 years, so we don't need to do it concurrently. So like, we could fell the trees and then budget for the restoration next fall, and the permit would still be active, so.
It would be, so they can remove the stumps and
Right,
everything.
so we can just fell the trees, haul those off and let it sit, and then budget for next fall and
Do the next
do
phase.
the next phase.
Leave the stumps in the ground, just get rid of the trees.
Is there gonna be a reinspection? Is there a deadline?
A deadline
Or
for,
Deep's gonna come out again after the work's done, or?
we'll probably, Ray Pierce will probably provide a report to DEP.
I think Ray
related to
Pierce's,
the permit that the work has been
I
completed.
think Ray Pierce's proposal is so expensive because they're the engineer on record and the responsible party to make sure all the work is done.
You know, being close to a dam, I think it's.
Correct.
Yeah, it's gonna
You gotta
definitely.
be careful, yeah.
Right.
So we would look for a vote from the board to approve
Okay.
this
Yeah.
one.
Is there a motion to,
So
approve?
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
George?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
Let's see, item number 6, executive committee reports, we have none. Infrastructure,
No report.
no report. Policy and procedure committee,
No report.
no report. Item number 7, A, well number 10.
Good things to report on well 10, the Weston Sampson is, been in close contact with the Department of Health, and they're in the final stages of getting all the comments approved for the construction of the well 10 facility. Not bad news, but, the attorneys have been missing each other and have not moved anything, other than trying to get together on the easement, progress. Talked to Ann Catino, who's available by phone if the board wants to contact her and talk to her tonight. The other attorney has gotten, distracted. I reached out to the neighbors today to kind of initiate some movement on that, and they got back to me with some favorable responses that they would do their best efforts to get, their attorney to the table. Other than that, Ann reinforced the fact that effectively the agreement has been struck, and we just need to finalize the paperwork and get together and sign this, so.
Alright, we tell Ann, we need to get it done by our next meeting. So-
She's fully aware that
Okay.
I gave her an earful that this was an important meeting to
Yeah.
provide some positive direction in, and unfortunately, that's as much as I could talk to today.
Well, Weston and Sampson can't do anything until it's done, right?
Yeah, we gotta get that.
Well, yeah, we can't move forward to bid the project, but they can, so Weston Sampson has, in the past month submitted, again, they've, based on our efforts to get DPH with Weston Sampson got comments back that were, kind of stalled in the project level, and now Weston Sampson giving those comments back to DPH, so we're, hopefully hear from them, and we are working with, good collaborative effort with DPH. They've also provided, DPH with a water quality report with all the flow data that they received earlier in the year when they were pumping 72-hour flow tests, so that's in there. But yeah, to get the permit moved forward to the degree that we need it. So technically, without the easements, we can only pump like 50 gallons a minute, something really ridiculously low. Once with the easement in place, then all that paperwork can get finalized. So right now, looks like November, hopefully will be a good month to bring all this together. And then, whether it'll be next meeting, or I can brief a little bit in terms of the funding effort would then be, we need to aggressively get into the funding funnel, so to speak, where, myself and Al are bringing to the board, financial packages for approval, and then I go before the Board of Finance, and then the town council ultimately would, need to sign off on any SRF fundings that we're looking to fund this project with, and there'll be other projects going in the same route, so, this project will be on, it's not on the 23, Department of Health intended use plan, but is anticipated to be is on the 2024 plan, which is being anticipated to be adopted, hopefully November, December of this fall. Once they adopt that list, we could then apply for funding, or get the paperwork in beforehand, so.
I have a question or two.
Sure.
We purchased the land, and that's paid for. We sunk 3 sections of the well, and that's identified and fully constructed. My understanding was, perhaps wrong, all that was left primarily was build a building on top of the footprint formerly established.
Yep.
And to hook up the well. What's with all the probable finances? We haven't done anything about finances with, Woodard and Kern. Well, all these delays, putting in the wrong pipe, putting in the smaller sized pipe rather than the large diameter pipe. Nobody made any negotiation with them at all. Do we have an idea, roughly, an estimate, how much we are going to get received from Weston and Sampson? In lieu of the fact of all these mistakes that were made, that we've already paid for.
I think there's a couple of steps we have to take right now. One is, I think, are the bid documents ready, for the next phase of this?
They will be. I was telling Matt Jermaine, a couple hours ago, an update for the meeting. Once they get the comments finalized from DPH, they can move right into the bid documents, and that will not be that, lengthy of a time, so we'll be able to
move forward.
quickly in that area.
I think what we have to do is, let's get that approval from DPH. Let's get the bid documents ready. We could bid this with I would say we'd wanna have a construction date, like, it could be March of next year. That's when we wanna get this thing started. We get the bid documents, at least we'll know exactly what kind of money we'd be looking for this project too. And then, we're gonna have to go and see what kind of funding that we could get. And we're gonna get funding, we just don't know.
We're gonna get funding at the low interest loan from the SRF. We don't know, of all the projects, this is the one I know I'm the least comfortable in terms of what we might get for subsidies or not.
Yeah.
Funding will be there, we'll be able to allow it to move forward, and again, this is our number one project, and everything else that we have to discuss and look forward, and is all based on, 9 and 10 particularly being up in operation.
Well, I think what, Tom is asking is, we have to wait until that before we have to see where Weston and Sampson's coming from?
Well, I think that's a whole nother issue that we're gonna have to address, and, but I think we have to
Take baby steps.
take baby steps first, and let's see where we are.
As
No,
long as we have a
it's
plan.
coming, but it's,
As long as we have a plan.
I mean, unfortunately, fortunately, the well is a super producer. In fact, I have a call tomorrow with Deep on that, some ideas regarding how this new well field and some other dynamics going on will be impacted, but Weston Sampson has told me, based on the numbers that they got, that this well field right now is permitted at 3 million gallons a day max, could do 4 million gallons a day. Easily.
Yeah.
And, going forward, that is a huge benefit to the department and the town, and hopefully we'll look to leverage with some of these things. Right now, we're limited by the Quinnipiac River Management Plan that was put in probably over 20 years ago, that, we need to start engaging deep on. But the big picture is that, we may have had some challenges with this, but going forward, we're gonna be really beneficial that this well is that productive, and I think, hopefully that will be the case as we work out some of these details.
You think our permit will be increased in yield?
I really can't say that, but when we're looking at the original permit that had a lot of wells, a lot of those wells aren't even in service anymore. And, if we're looking at, reducing flow on some, I think we could.
Could we pump more on one and?
If we can get, that's what we need to look at, and there's a lot of things that need to be looked at, but the idea would be, if we can maximize that when we need to, we would be able to get ourselves out of a lot of trouble, when water becomes short during, peak irrigation and usage times.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things to look at that need to be carefully studied by professionals. Right now, we have more ideas of how this could work, but that's where we need to really get professional engineers involved to look at some of the dynamics between hydraulics and demand and such.
So it's the procedure then, let's get that easement squared away, we'll get the documents, we'll get the approval from, the state, get the documents out to bid, and.
Yeah, at the same time, we would, maybe even get ahead of everything else that we may be going on and then get those, as I mentioned, getting, next meeting, certainly December, it's gonna be a real push to get the financial side so that we get the paperwork in, we'll be able to go out to bid. And then by the time we get to construction, we'll have, the funds that we have available right now for well 10 to start it. And then the state loan will kick in, and then we'll have enough, money to get this construction
We
set.
still have money.
Yeah, we have $2.2+ million right now for this project.
Right.
Well, when we started the project, Weston and Sampson gave us an estimate of what the next phase and the last phase would be, am I correct? Of what the building would cost and everything else, and it's been 2 years. I'd be very curious to see the old bid and see what the new bid comes in at, because that might give us a little leverage.
Mhm.
Do we have any idea on the design of this new building for well 10?
Yeah, it's completely designed, I have the plans in my office, we know all the details of it, we're really squabbling about like the most minute details with DPH. So we could,
Those are plans that we're going to put out for bid.
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, everything is.
Yeah, we have planning, zoning approval, and how, we have everything in line, it's just those fine little things that DPH, needs to approve and, get the funding in place and then construction documents and bid it. Yeah.
Any other questions on 10? 7B, water main replacements.
Al's been working with, Snyder Engineering on the West Queen, finalizing the West Queen, project down the hill. Which again should be ready, come this winter, early, come at the end of this year, early next year, correct?
Right, with, put out the bid with construction early spring, hopefully.
Yeah, so,
What about the construction of the strip down at the bottom of the hill?
that's the piece I think we're referring to.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
From-
When you said the hill, I presumed you were doing up the hill.
No,
He said the bottom of the hill.
We've talked about it, Tom, in our other meetings, and that was a project that we, again, would be 3 or 4 years out, that we were contemplating it. During the infrastructure meeting, we talked about water main, we said, hey, this water main on Queen Street would qualify for 50% reimbursement potentially. But right now, we're talking about the section at the bottom of the, West Queen, between, Queen Street and
That'll be
Newell.
put out to bid in November, is that what
Um,
you said?
Yes, before the end of the year.
Yeah, probably a December bid, but for a spring
Spring.
construction.
A lot of it hinges on the railroad and how responsive they are. They're
They
kind of
haven't made up their
difficult to
mind
deal
yet?
with. What's that?
They haven't made up their mind what they wanna do with those tracks yet.
They're hard to tie
Very
down,
difficult.
and the whole submittal process, it was approved back in 2016, and it's only good for a year, so you have to resubmit. And it's changed hands, it was Pan Am, now it's SFX, so it's a totally different group.
Jesse out of, where are they out of?
But there's no tracks there now, right?
No,
Is that gonna become part of the rails and trails?
no,
No.
they didn't wanna give up that piece up to that crossing, but they ripped out the paths and they paved the rail, so you can't even use them. So I took some pictures, provided that to Snyder so they could submit the current condition of those tracks that we're
Right.
talking about.
I don't see that as much of a problem, it's the fact that there's fiber optics under that right of way.
And there's a high pressure gas line, so.
So, is there a channel to put our?
That'll be something.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, you have to
Yeah.
sleeve it, it has to go in, the
We've
main has
run
to
under
be.
that railroad area about 6 times already at down in various spots. Twice on East Summer Street, back about 18 years or so ago.
So I've gotten the draft, design, and I have it on my desk, and I have to review and respond with comments, so that we're that far, so.
Any other questions?
So that's the only project that we're thinking of putting out to bid for
No.
spring?
No, we have, an RFP out on the street right now that's due back in, November 3rd for, engineering design services to fast track designs for, those projects that we believe we're gonna be getting funding for from SRF, which, based on my last discussions with the DPH, looks like all of the projects have the potential of being funded, which, include, lead gooseneck and water main replacement, in the Berkeley Holmesdale area. So there's a number, these were submitted as part of projects, and then for each project, you know, will that give the department an opportunity, these projects are 50% or more subsidized. You know, one phase is the, we broke this up to maximize, SRF, subsidies. So the structure a little bit different than maybe the infrastructure board is used to. But one would be like the Holmesdale, Berkeley, the Berkeley Court area, goosenecks and water main. And, we separated, Lacey Road and Berlin Street based on those numbers. The way they structured the project, anything over, the maximized subsidies, projects up to $3 million. So we broke the projects up to construction costs. Under three, exactly. So that's why they're broken up a little bit different than maybe we talked about last. Another one of the project, a separate project would be the West Queen Street, the Vermont Courts, the Vermont Ave, that area there, the Oak Street and the Academy Lane portion that we talked about. And then the final one, again, is a section of pipe on North Main Street. That's the old 6-inch pipe that was installed in 1884. I made attempts, I've yet to contact or get the right person at DOT to get some feedback whether or not a pending DOT project is coming. But however you look at it, it's a critical piece of infrastructure for the town, being Route 10 heading down through there. And if it's an opportunity for significant subsidies, it would be something that we could, and again, so this is for the design services. So once we get, and this was sent to the four firms that were shortlisted: Tate & Howard, TM Smith, Wright Pierce, and H2M.
Right.
So those four will submit, and then we'll have packages on November 3rd. So again, probably be soliciting board members at some point thereafter to come look at the proposals, and then we could evaluate them. And it'll probably be tight, but hopefully by next board meeting, we'll be able to recommend going in one or more directions based on their submissions.
Based on how much money we have.
Well,
That's gonna be a key.
it may be one of these things, yeah, we get our consultant on board, and then everything's contingent on those financial discussions with the board that cause us to move. And there may be some projects on this list that we, like the Holmesdale with goosenecks, absolutely, and other ones that we may not decide not to do, but may not decide to run out the door and get going so quickly on.
Okay.
So that's good news in the water mains. I know that was, an important component.
Not to get off subject, but, I saw that they're paving, Merrill and Oak.
They're doing the trenches. Permanent.
But I thought we were under the assumption now that we did that because the town was gonna pave that road.
You just do the trench so it holds up over the winter.
Oh, no, I was under the
Yeah.
assumption that we were gonna get it done and they were gonna repave it before winter. So we had to go and spend that money to do that, just to get them through the winter, and then they're gonna mill it all up
Yes.
in the spring.
That's a requirement, they don't want it falling apart. And
No, I understand, I thought that we would've been done like, say, in September, October, they were gonna mill the whole road and pave it, so that's not the
No.
case.
They kinda like to let that settle too,
Yeah,
usually.
You
for
let
some
it
of the
settle, and then
roads.
I think they went out there and tried the road cut for the apple harvest, and they were like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
And so
that's true.
we stopped them, and then they're doing it now.
Okay, I saw it over there, I was wondering.
And honestly, if we pull the trigger on the rest of Academy and Oak, I would probably see Public Works even postponing the paving even a year or maybe even 2 years, until we did the rest of those water main.
Right.
And then they would all come in, so on that side of the fence, Ralph, they required us to do the permanent patches because they may have an intent next year, but that intent may be pushed out 5 years based on what the price.
But the permanent patch was figured in the bid, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
maybe I'm going, oh man, we gotta go pay for that now.
Yeah.
Okay, that was already concluded, okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Item number 8A, staffing update.
There's a C,
Oh, I'm sorry, did I do C? Let's see.
SRF project
Yep.
update. I
Sorry.
think we kind of
17.
morphed into it, and I kind of hit on it.
Yep.
We've had very positive, initial feedbacks. Again, we won't know until they finalize the intended use plan. But based on conversations that, Al and I had with, the members of the DPH that manage the funding program, based on our projects and points, we should be able to get available funding for these projects here. At the end of the day, there's a lot of opportunities, but there's a lot of, also, a lot of capital projects.
Everybody's trying to cash in on that money
But-
that's sitting there.
They did highlight that these funds that they're using now are first come, first served, and there's no guarantee how long they will last.
Right.
But so we both have good news, but, that also comes with a degree of,
Uncertain.
the degree of work on our end, the board's end, the staff's end, to really figure out what should we do, and,
We just gotta stay on top of them. If they want a form, get it to them right away. Just give them anything they want. Well, if you do it in a timely basis, if you drop the ball, somebody else is gonna jump in front
Oh,
of you.
yeah.
Well-
You're gonna lose.
You know?
So here's the thing, like our previous conversations, Rob, so you were absolutely correct, even if we decided like, oh my gosh, this work is, we can't do the construction work, if we did the design work, we would still be in a very favorable position, because of what happens is they have this long list of hopeful projects, and then by the third quarter of the year, no one's doing any work, and they're looking to move money, they're actually, moving projects that were
They'll call and
that
say,
were
"You got a
below
project." Yeah,
below the green light list, and then move you up.
right.
So, we're in a good spot, we worked hard to get to the front of the line.
That's what I'm saying, you're doing your due diligence to stay ahead of the game.
Now we just need to figure out how to pay for the price of admission, so to speak, so.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and that's another mountain to climb, and
Okay.
we'll probably get into that more, next meeting.
Anything else on that, Doug?
No, that's it.
Okay, now we're gonna go to 8A, staffing updates.
There was a couple things that I don't know, we've had one employee out, they should be back in November. Nancy and, I now are we've been, trying to get a hold of someone on the Kerma side to have the workers' comp people to review the situation, before that person, but based on the note, they're gonna be returning to full work in November 6th.
That's awesome.
So, before that happens, we need to make sure that, our workers' comp people have been able to fully evaluate the situation, so that, I'm sure there will be some stipulations type of deal.
Okay.
Based on that, I think everything else was probably gonna be handled in, executive session due to the sensitive nature of the matters that may be brought up.
Item number 8B, labor negotiations.
So we have a tentative agreement. The union has voted in favor of the union contract. It's still, the final draft of those is still being finalized. So, I was hoping to have the board, provide, the president of the water commissioners the permission to sign the final agreement once that's been, drafted. I have a copy of it right here, if you wanted to go over some of the things that we reported on last meeting.
Make a motion that we, go to executive session with this item.
Okay.
Hasn't been finalized or signed off on.